Hello, everyone. It's Lauren. We're at BroadwayCon. It's day three. We're still standing. And I'm very excited to introduce you to my first guest today, who is a friend of mine from the American Theater Critics Association. She came down to BroadwayCon from Utah and is the vice president of the Utah Theater Bloggers Association. Welcome, Maren.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Maren Swensen, I should say. I just know you as Maren, but Maren Swensen.
Yeah, and a lot of times I write Maren Scriven is my maiden name, so but I got remarried 4 years ago, so Maren Swensen, yes.
Well, it is so nice to be hanging out with you. You and your girls have been here for the 3 days, which
Yep.
is amazing. And before we talk about your BroadwayCon experience, I want to talk about the Utah theater scene because, I think so many of us regional reporters are so isolated. And so, talk to me about the state of the theater where you are in Utah.
Okay, so there's quite a bit in Utah. One thing that when people hear about Utah, they think of the Utah Shakespeare Festival. So the Utah Shakespeare Festival actually won a regional Tony Award in 2000, I believe. And it is based in Cedar City, where there is Southern Utah University, and that is a very much a theater school, and that's where my sister went to school. My sister is a theater teacher, and she's older than me, about 7 years older than me, and she kind of got me into the theater. I did my first show with her when I was 10, and so she kind of introduced me to the theater world, and she studied down there. But the Utah Shakespeare Festival, they have a Globe Theater, and they do kind of like a summer stock theater every summer. And that's one of the biggest things in Utah. But we also have several different equity houses. We have Pioneer Theater Company, we have the Salt Lake Acting Company, we have I my brain is going blank, of course, but we have the Tuacahn Theater, which is an outdoor theater.
Among the Red Rocks,
Yes.
Dave Toole, who I know, performed out there, and it just the pictures he took
Yes.
were gorgeous.
Yes, and that one they can do so many cool things. I went down a couple of years, and Stephen Schwartz had come out and done Prince of Egypt down there, which is now or was in London, in the West End. But when he did it first, he did out of town tryout at Tuacahn. They flooded the stage because it's outdoors, so you can flood the stage. But they do a lot of other things. They did School of Rock a couple of years ago, and they had done fireworks and all kinds of other things that they can do. But besides that, we have a whole bunch of different regional, just lower than equity, but wonderful regional theaters. We have one in a town, Ogden, which is really close to where I live. I live in Clearfield, Utah, called Good Company, and it is the only Black-owned and operated theater in Utah, because Utah is not as diverse as other places. Owned by two sisters, Alicia and Camille Washington, and they really go out of their way to make sure that they're doing diverse programming. And I love them because they stretch me as a critic. A lot of the shows that they do are things that I've not seen before and oftentimes not heard of before. They also do a lot of staged readings, new writers, that sort of thing, and it's fantastic to go out and do that. But then on top of that, we have so many community theaters because we've got a lot of people, a lot of talent, a lot of people just wanting to do things. My kids participate in a lot of community theater. I've participated in community theater myself. And so,
Nonsense.
yes, I was Mother Superior in Nonsense. And so about in 2010, Utah Theater Bloggers was founded because we found that there was just not enough criticism going on. And so my friends, Russ and Dave, started this blog. I found out about them in 2011 and started writing with them in 2011. My background is I have a minor in theater, and just discovered that, they needed critics. And so I submitted some writing, and they said, yeah, please join us. And I've been with them ever since.
Amazing. And I love the community theaters and the regional theaters because I really do think push the envelope, and we are so Beltline. People have asked me all weekend long about the Beltline. The Beltline stands for the Beltline where I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and most of the theaters are in and around that Beltline. But there's just so much talent on those stages, and then a lot of that talent ends up in New York or on big platforms where it's just like, wow, I saw them first at Raleigh Little Theater or wherever. So it's amazing.
Yeah, my daughter got to do a workshop here with Thane Jasperson, and he's from Utah. He grew up in Wyoming and then moved to Utah when he was 15. And when I was asking him, I said, so what theaters have you done in Utah? And he said Tucson, and that he's also done stuff at Hale, which is one of the big theaters in Utah. And so it was just nice to think, oh, okay, because my daughter's done some community things, and I'm thinking, she really wants to do stuff with theater, and it's nice to think, okay, well, that the theaters that we know are the theaters that Thane got his start in.
So fun. So talk to me about the experience here at BroadwayCon. Your girls have taken workshops, they've done panels, they're dressed up, they're so adorable. What's the experience been like for them being in this? For a lot of us, it's like our first time back away. It's my son's first trip out of town since COVID. So
yeah, this has been really neat. BroadwayCon's always been in the winter. I've come a couple times before. I've done a panel before. But I've never been able to take my kids because it's always been during the school year. And so when they announced that it was summertime, my kids looked at me like, Mom, please, because this is their thing. And so I said, yes, we'll work it out. We'll make it happen. And my oldest daughter, she really is into costume design and cosplay and whatever. That's what she does. My day job is I'm a therapist, and I actually work at kind of like a Goodwill back in Utah. And so she comes to my store and buys stuff and then turns it into costumes. And so she had come to the store one day and found a suit and turned it into Beetlejuice.
How amazing.
And then my youngest daughter, she actually, through some connections I made years ago at BroadwayCon, we were able to find out that the drummer for Six teaches lessons online. And so she teaches lessons to my daughter. And so we had said, oh, she wants to dress up as you for BroadwayCon. And so the drummer Elena, she sent us pictures. And then my older daughter made us all Six costumes. And what was really fun was at the panel for Six, they had mostly the ladies in waiting is what they call them. And my daughter got brave enough to get up and ask a question. And just ask, like, what is it like being a musician on Broadway, and how do you get into it? Because my daughter always looks, every time we go to see a show, she looks in the program, and the percussionist is almost always male. And so my daughter was like, how do you break into that? And so the ladies in waiting just loved that question, and they recognized her costume, and they were so excited because most of the time the people dress up as the queens.
As the queens.
They don't dress up as the ladies in waiting. So they were so excited to see my daughter dressed up as the lady in waiting. But then also my older daughter is getting all kinds of compliments for her work as making the costumes and the creativity with that. But it's also really been neat too, because when I've come before, I've never tried to participate in the workshops. That's not been something I wanted to do. But since we were coming with my daughter, who had just finished being the lead in her junior high production, we sent in a video for her. And so to get to do these dance workshops and these vocal workshops, something that she can put on her resume and talk to her teachers about and whatever. What a cool thing.
It's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah. And it didn't cost anything extra than just the entrance of the con. And they gave such one-on-one attention. They asked a parent to come in and be there since she's a minor. So I got to watch the whole thing. And they did. They gave one-on-one attention, and really like the tap workshop that she attended was so one-on-one. It was like a one-on-one lesson almost, and it really beautiful on top of just the fun of everything.
It's an experience I don't think they'll ever forget.
Right.
And what I love about watching all the young people come through here is that they really can just express themselves and be themselves, and it's lovely.
Yep. And everyone is talking to each other, and my daughter ran up to someone else who had made their costume that she liked, and they just talked about the costumes and talked about the things that they liked and whatever. And and then the vendors, she's been talking to different vendors about the things that they make. And I think it also made the dreams seem more real, because sometimes she'll talk about, well, if I can't be a costume designer, maybe I'll do this, or if I can't be this, maybe I'll do that. And I've often talked to her, do you not want to be a costume designer because you really don't want to, or you think you can't? And it usually, she comes back to, well, I just think I can't, maybe I'm not good enough. So it's been really nice to talk to other people here who are making their dreams come true.
So validating.
Right, because especially the tech side of theater, they need those people. Everyone wants to come and star on Broadway, but the tech side, they need those.
They need women in tech.
Yeah.
There just aren't enough women in tech. There aren't enough women musicians. I know you and I support an organization, Maestra,
Yes.
which does such amazing
Which
work.
is actually how we met Elena, was through Maestra.
Such a good organization. Look them up, everybody. They're
Yes.
a great organization. So you come to New York several times a year.
Yeah.
Most of the time without kids, but
Yeah.
a lot of times with a group
Mhm.
of people, a group of theater goers. What are some of your top picks for this season?
So Paradise Square, I saw that last night, and oh my goodness.
I'm not going to snap because that makes a terrible sound on the microphone, but I'm snapping.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I know that the critics have been mixed, and sometimes I wonder my validity as a critic, because sometimes when critics are mixed, I'm like, wait a second,
What did I miss?
Because I adored it. I adored everything about it, and Joaquina's performance, I don't understand how she does that. Oh, night after night.
It was a master class in vocal prowess.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But the dancing and the set design and the story, and just, I went back to my hotel room and didn't fall asleep for a while because I was looking up the Manhattan riots. And
Me too. Okay. They have a lovely educational guide on their website, which was kind of where I started, and then that just sent me down a rabbit hole.
Right. Yeah. It's already closed, but I hope it will have a life again sometime. But Suffs, I saw Suffs at the Public, and I really was moved. I was so moved.
Jen Colella, great
Yes,
cast.
yes. I was so moved by that. I did see Company, and I really enjoyed a lot of it. I enjoyed Patty, but I feel like Matt Doyle was the performance of that show.
He was. And I also thought Jennifer Samar and Chris Seaburn did I mean, they just stole the show. I was surprised my son, who's with me on this trip, really enjoyed that show as well.
Yeah. And I really liked the set design in that.
Very clever,
Yes.
very innovative.
Yeah. I have not had a chance to see A Strange Loop. And so I would like to, and I've heard all the buzz and everything else. I am planning on coming back if we get a conference together for ATCA in November. And so I'm hoping that at that point I will see A Strange Loop. And I would like to see the upcoming 1776 that's coming in from Boston. That's on my radar as a show. For people that don't know, they've gender bent or they want it. It's going on at the Art in Boston right now, and it's all women or trans or queer, and
Lulu Pickard is in it, and she was in our production of 9 to 5, and she was in our production of Mamma Mia over at North Carolina Theater. So I'm excited to chat with her at some point about her experience in 1776. You mentioned Atka, and David and Martha and the whole executive committee will probably kill us if we don't talk about how great this organization is. And especially if you love theater. I'm not a performer. I don't want to be on stage. I should never be on stage. And so for somebody like me who loves theater, this is a great way to be a part of theater adjacent, as my friend calls it. And so the ACCA is the American Theater Critics Association. We're both on the executive committee, and it is the only professional theater critics association in our country. And it's really a fabulous organization. So I would say if you're an emerging writer, if you are an established writer and you're writing about the arts, if you're blogging like we are, if you're podcasting, you should apply. So
Yes, absolutely.
how's your experience been with ACCA?
It's been actually like life changing for me because when I started in theater criticism, it just was, like, sorry, I'm trying to figure out the right words. Because this has been a side gig for me. I'm a therapist in my day job, and but theater is my own self-care. It's everything to me, and I am a performer, but not very much. It's something I do in community, not often, and I prefer the audience seat. But I feel like I've grown in criticism, and it's what I love more than anything. But ATCA, when I joined, so the president of Utah Theater Bloggers, he was the first member of ATCA in our organization. And then he nurtured me and asked me to join. And then I attended my first conference, and so many people reached out to me and nurtured me and became mentors to me. And then eventually I got invited to be on the executive committee, and I just got elected for my next term to the executive committee, which is so wonderful. But it gives me this big national community and this interface to so much more, to learn about what theater looks like all over the country, and then to bring that back to Utah, which is so fantastic. We were able to use, we did a training on diversity for our critics, and we brought David in, who was the chair of ATCA for a while. We're going to be selecting a new chair soon. So, but we were able to bring him in. We were able to have national representation in Utah and bring that back. Connections like that are just so important. I feel like it's helped me become a better writer.
Me too.
And then just like connections like you, like learning about podcasting, learning about different things like that I feel like are so invaluable and help me. One of the things that both Russ and I have felt was one of the greatest is that our blog was completely volunteer for a long time, but we have learned so much about advertising and things like that we're finally paying our writers now.
Awesome.
Which, people should be paid for their work.
Absolutely, they should.
So it was huge, like those of us who started when we were just doing this writing for free, we love that now we pay people.
Well, this has been amazing. I'm so glad we got to reconnect. We
Yes.
see each other on Zoom once a month at these executive committee meetings, but here we are in
Yeah.
person in New York City. So I'm just thrilled to be here with you, and
Yeah.
thank you for stopping by. And I
Yeah.
hope you and your girls have a wonderful day of theater coming up.
Yes. And now one more thing I was going to say really quick before we end. When I come here to New York, I've got another ATCA member who said, "Hey, can you come see a show that I'm producing that's new this afternoon off Broadway?" And those kinds of things happen that wouldn't happen if I wasn't a member. And so then I get to see new and upcoming things, which, as great as it is to see the on Broadway stuff, it is so great to see the stuff that's new and upcoming. And I would say that to theater fans too. Look for the new and upcoming things that are not necessarily on Broadway when you're here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate you. You, I know, are going to get to a matinee soon, but you'll have a little time to shop
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yes, absolutely.
And we are here till 6. Come see us at BroadwayCon till 6 o'clock today. Last day, we
Yay!
survived.
Thank you. Thanks, Lauren.